Up in here, I have a few stragglers left of a grape called Glenora. If I can get just this one bunch here. I'd say the pluses to Glenora are its texture. It has a really firm, crunchy kind of texture, which is cool. And the appearance are both really cool. It seems to be moderately productive. It probably makes fine raisins as well, like most grapes. And the drawbacks are that when you are removing the grapes from these stems, a lot of times this little stem here will stay stuck to the grape and you have to pluck it off manually, like one at a time. And that really adds up to a lot of time. So that's not ideal. You know, if you're sitting around eating grapes, it's not a big deal, but if you're processing large quantities of grapes for the freezer or for making raisins, then that is actually a big deal. The other thing is a lot of them will be really small. This cluster doesn't have too many small ones. There's one there. But sometimes they'll just have a ton of really small grapes too, and those are also a drag to process. If I was planting a bunch of grapes, I certainly wouldn't plant more than one of these. I do kind of like to have it around because I like the texture and it looks really cool. So yeah, there you go. Glenora. So I was out picking the rest of the grapes off the trellis and I found this bunch, which is a little bit more typical of Glenora. It's got, you can see some real small grapes on there and some really large grapes. On denser clusters, which are common actually, a lot of the early clusters will just be almost just like solid clumps of grapes all stuck together. You'll get a lot of these really, really small grapes. The fact that these stay on the stem really well and that this has been hanging well past when it's ripe, you can see some of them are shriveled up. Those are good commercial traits. So no doubt this grape, those traits were selected when this grape was selected as commercial growing traits. So, you know, you can leave this cluster on the vine for a long time and it's still going to be good. And then, you know, when you're transporting it's going to hold up because it's so firm. It's a very, very firm grape. And they're not going to fall off the stem in transport. All those are great for commercial growing of table grapes, but not so great for processing because when you pick these off, a lot of times these little stems will stay on here and like that. And then I have to come back and, you know, pluck that off one at a time. It takes a lot longer. So not so great for processing for raisins and freezing.